Hey guys, welcome to Grammar for today. We are doing exercises 72 and 73. You 100% have to make sure that you used this book today because there's absolutely no way to be doing these exercises well without checking the rule that it applies to. Okay, so make sure that you have this book and you send me a picture of where you used it. Okay, I only need one picture. You don't have to send me every page. As long as you send me the beginning of the section, I'll know that you used it, okay? We are on page 34 of your grammar book, which is, like I said, exercise 72 and 73. This is a very important lesson for English speakers. It's not something brand new. You've been exposed to it a lot. Not so much the second part as much as the first part. The first part you've been exposed to a lot, which is subject and verb agreement. So I'm not going to use any visuals or on the whiteboard today, but we are going to read through these rules and we're going to read through the examples. And then I'm going to help you get started on exercise 72. Exercise 72 says subject and verb agreement. Underline each subject. Number 2, underline the correct verb in the parentheses. I'm going to tell you the subject because I don't want that to be the part of confusion. I want you to be focused on what is going to agree with that subject, okay? So I'm going to read you the subjects first, so that you can kind of get in your head what subjects we're talking about so that the rules start to apply and make sense. There's a few rules I'm going to skip here because they're not applicable in today's exercise and not super important to know without an exercise to help you, okay? So look at number 1, this series of recordings is not the subject, series is the subject. Remember that the of recordings is an object of a preposition, and you're not going to find the subject in the object of the preposition. The reason why I'm telling you that así is because usually when we see recordings right in front of was or were, we're going to think that that's the subject because it's right in front of the verb, but it's not that case, you guys. It's a prepositional phrase, and you don't want to be looking for your subjects inside your prepositional phrase. You shouldn't find them there, okay? So series. But look, series, just to point this out, is what? It's singular. This series, not these series, okay? This, esta serie. So it's one thing, which means should it be was or should it be were? Without even looking at our looking at our book, we should know this one, right? It should be singular, so that means that was is the verb. This series was. Okay, we don't care about what the rest of the sentence says. As long as we know that series was agrees with each other, we know that the subject and the verb agreement is correct. Okay, so look at number 2. The subject is difficulties. Remember that the subject is always inverted in a question for English, okay? So it's not what, it's the difficulties is or are involved, okay? So difficulties. Number 3, parents' brother, okay? You see that? Either my parents or my older brother. So there's a specific rule when you see those subjects in the format of either or that we're going to see today. Number 4, one. Okay, not painters, one. Number 5, several. Because in our class is also a prepositional phrase, several. Number 6, Adam Food Products. It's a company. So even though it says products, it's not plural because it's a company, okay? Number 7, which. That's a funny one. That's why I'm telling you. Which. By the way, I'm going to tell you what rule to look at on that one. The rule to look at is 9.17. 9.17. Number 8, rickets. Number 9, Paul apostles. Number 10, 2/3. Number 11, export. Sounds like a verb, right? But look, the greatest agricultural export. Okay, so it's not a verb. Number 12, Theodore Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt. Number 13, chicken and dumplings. Number 14, half-truths. Number 15, none. 16, he. 17, committee. Committee follows the rule of 9.8. Okay, the rest of them you're going to have to look for your own rule. Okay, you're going to have to look for your own rule. So here we go. I'm going to read through the rules. This is what you need to do for your lesson today. You need to use the rules to answer these questions, and you need to write the rule that you used to answer these questions, okay? So that I know that you're making a knowledgeable decision and you're not just putting like, I think it's like this, I think it's like this, and that will also help you review the rules, which is really why you need your book, okay? So number 1, this is on page 51 in your blue book, okay? Page 51, 9.1. The verb of a sentence must agree with its subject in number. Okay, so if it's singular, it should use a singular noun. If it's plural, it should use a plural noun. Okay, we know that. That's the basics. 9.2, singular subjects take singular verbs. Plural subjects take plural verbs. Nouns ending in S are usually plural. Okay, verbs ending in S are usually singular. Okay, so what does that mean? If you have a plural noun, like let's say birds, then on a regular verb, it's not going to have an S. You don't say birds walks. No, birds walk. Okay? She walks. That's singular. She is singular. The verb that has an S is singular. She walks. Birds walk. Right? Look what it says. The boys work hard. The boy works hard. The boys work hard. Okay? You're not going to have an S and an S together to make it agree. It's not going to agree that way. Don't overcomplicate that because you've already known all that. Number 9.3. The number of a subject is not usually affected by phrases. That's what I was teaching about prepositional phrases between the subject and the verb. The row of bushes was planted. Row is the subject. Planted. What player don't was. Row was. Not bushes was. Okay, row was. Because if it depended on bushes, it would be were, right? But that wouldn't be correct. The boats by the dock need repair. We ignore by the dock. It's the boats need repair. Okay, that's a very easy rule, but it's also what is applying in what? Look at number 1. You already know now that number 1 applies to 9.3, so you can write that down. Okay, we're skipping 9.4, we're skipping 9.5. Look at 9.6. Titles of literary works, works of art, organizations, so that means businesses, okay? Cities and countries are usually singular even if they are plural in form. So you see Pickwick Papers, and you're like, oh, papers, that's plural, so it's going to be papers are. No, it's the Pickwick Papers. It's one thing. Is a novel, okay? The Massacre of the Innocents. Oh, Innocents is plural. No. The Massacre of the Innocents is a work. So you could say the work was. The obra was, right? Okay. General Motors. Motors looks plural, but it's a company. So the company is a huge corporation. Grand Rapids looks plural, but it's a city. The city is located in Western Michigan. 9.7. The following words are usually singular, although plural in form. These are like sicknesses or just different things that look plural, but they're actually singular. One of them is found in this exercise today. Mumps, measles, rickets, molasses, news, stamina. Okay? Measles was. So you have to like in your head, when you see these words, measles, mumps, rickets, molasses, news, stamina, I would put the word it in it to help you. Because the measles was sounds weird, but it was. Rickets is sounds weird, but it is. The news keeps us informed. That one sounds a little bit normal because we use that a lot, but it keeps us informed, okay? Number 8, which is what's applying in number 17. Collective nouns, we've talked about this many times, guys. Collective nouns, nouns that are a group, okay? The class, the jury, the committee, the club. It could be either singular or plural depending on how you're using it in this sentence, okay? A collective noun names a group and is singular in form, jury, team, class, family. A collective noun is singular when the group is thought of as a unit. If it's working together as a unit, you use it as singular and you put the word it in there to help you understand what verb to use. But a collective noun is plural when the group is thought of as an individual acting separately. So then you use the word they. So here's some examples. The jury has been dismissed. Okay, the whole jury was dismissed together, okay? But the jury were unable to agree among themselves. So now the jury has different opinions about everything. So that means that it's acting as an individual, and you're going to have to say they were unable, okay? All the people there were unable. A collective noun, of course, can take a plural form to refer to more than one group of the same kind. So you can also say juries, teams, classes, families, and then of course it's going to be plural because then it's they have. Okay? So just understand that if it's working together as one unit, and guys, it's most common that the collective noun is working together as a unit. Okay? It's most common that you're going to call it a single noun, singular noun. But sometimes a sentence is written where it looks plural and you need to use they in your head to decide the verb. Look at 9.9. Expressions stating amounts. So that's fractions. There's one of these in the lesson today. Fractions, measurements, money, and time may either be singular or plural. They are singular if it is considered a unit, plural when it's separate parts. So look at this one. 2/3 of the milk. Well, the milk is all together, right? So 2/3 of that is one unit. And that would be singular. 2/3 of the milk was spilled. It was spilled. But 2/3 of the peanuts, so now those are individual peanuts. That's a lot of peanuts. Those pieces of peanuts were gone. They were gone. Okay. $6 for a hamburger, $6 for one hamburger, so it's working together, is expensive. But $6 were placed in separate envelopes. Okay, $6 were placed. They were in different envelopes. They were separated, so it's working as a they. 9.10. Words that end in ics, I-C-S. They could be singular or plural. You have to know the rule. Look at letter A. When they end in I-C-S and refer to a course of study or to a science, they're singular. Okay, so civics, dramatics, mathematics, ethics, when it's referring to the class, okay, or a place of study, then you use it as singular. Civics was, dramatics is, mathematics is, ethics is. However, when it does not refer to a class of study or a science, it's plural. That's letter B. His economics, his finances were. Gymnastics, that's not a class, it's not a science, okay, are. His ethics, okay, it's not his class, it's his personal character. His ethics are not what they should be. Okay? 9.11, compound subjects joined by and take a plural form. That's easy, okay? It's obvious that it's and. It's plural when it comes together with the word and. Jack and Joe were here today. Okay? But look at the note. Sometimes subjects joined by and refer to only one person and are considered as one thing. Be careful with this because one of these is in the lesson for today. It's a food, like spaghetti and meatballs. That's a food together, is a delightful meal. You don't say spaghetti and meatballs are delightful. No, spaghetti and meatballs is delightful because it's together as a meal. Okay, there's one of those in there. Or our quarterback and team captain is Jared Johnson. So he's describing it as the quarterback and the team captain together because it's one person. So it's is. Look at 9.12. When a compound subject is joined by or, nor, either, or, nor, either, or neither, nor, the verb agrees with the nearer subject. Okay, so look, guys, there's 2 of these in here that are joined by either neither, nor, or either, or. You have to go with the one closest to the verb, okay? You don't look at both of them and say it's plural. You just go to the one that's closest to the verb. That's the difference between the 2 being joined by and 2 being joined by either, or, neither, nor, okay? So look at the example. Either her helpers or the librarian is there to assist. Helpers doesn't matter when it's an either or situation. You just look at which one. You just look at librarian. Librarian is. Okay, same thing here though, but it's switched. Either the librarian or her helpers are. Helpers is the closest one to the verb, so now you pick helpers are. Okay, it's only the one closest to the verb. 9.13. These indefinite pronouns are singular and take a singular verb. We've talked about indefinite pronouns. 9.13, 14, and 15 are all indefinite pronoun rules, okay? Which is each, either, neither, one, everyone, everybody, no one, nobody, anyone, anybody, someone, somebody. Those are all singular, okay? So it's everyone is, each was, neither was. Okay? You don't care about the phrase of in the room, of the visitors, of the contestants. 9.14. These indefinite pronouns are plural and take a plural verb. Both, few, several, many. Many are, several are. Okay? And guys, it honestly makes sense. Don't just look at the list and be like, oh, I have to memorize that. Or I'm never going to know it without looking at the list. Guys, it makes sense. Look at all the ones that are singular. They have one or buddy with them for a lot of them. Or you know they're singular. Each, cada uno, that's singular. Okay? So it has sentido which ones are singular. It has sentido which ones are plural. Look at 14. Both, few, several, many. Yeah, that's plural. Okay? Why would you ever think it wasn't plural? But 9.15 could be singular or plural, so be careful. These are the ones that circle it. Be like, okay, be careful with some, any, none, all, or most. Which is weird with all, but it means all could be referring to all of one thing. So look at it. Some of the harvest was completed. Some was, because it's one thing, harvest. So in this case, can you believe it? In this case, it does depend on what the phrase says, okay? Because you have to determine the number of these words from the context. Sorry. Some of the harvest was, but some of the crops were. Okay, so as soon as you see the word some, any, none, all, or most, you do have to look at your phrase, but it's the only time. Okay, all of the land was cultivated. Land was. All of the seeds were. Seeds were. Okay, number 16. Doesn't, isn't, and wasn't are singular, right? We should know that by now. He doesn't play football anymore. It doesn't matter. And we know that, guys, because it's the contraction, but it goes with the verb of does, is, and was, okay? Don't, aren't, and weren't are plural. If you don't know that by now, I'm going to beat you because you're never going to say he don't play football anymore. It don't matter to him, okay? Don't talk like that. It doesn't. He doesn't. He wasn't. Not he weren't, okay? I had a pastor that still talked like that, but it's because he came from a country town. Like, they just used funny grammar, that's all. Don't talk like that. Okay, 9.17. In expressions like one of those who, one of those which, one of those that, which we have that on number 7. The relative pronouns who, which, and that do not refer to the word one, but rather to the plural object of. Okay, so look at it. She is one of the girls who love competition. It's girls love. Okay? Which, who, whatever it is the subject, but you have to look at the word before it to know what it's talking about. Okay, which is going to help you on number 7. This is one of the assignments that seem impossible. Assignments seem, okay? A pesar that it's one of those. So just follow the examples. I'm actually going to cancel doing 73. Cancel doing 73. I wanted to do both of them together, but honestly, I'm seeing that it's a lot to process for just 72, and instead of you doing it a la carrera and not retaining it, I would prefer you to do it meticulously, tediously, finding the exact rule that you use to reinforce it in your brain and get a good example of it in your brain and process it better. So we're going to skip 73 for right now, and we'll do that on our next grammar day, which I believe is on Friday. Okay? Bye, guys. Let me know if you have any questions.